Hello everyone, today I kind of want to talk a bit about something that's been in the proverbial Total War zeitgeist a bit due to Legend of Total War's covering of Medieval 2 Remastered. Not as much covering as perhaps about the wish for a Medieval 2 remaster. Legend has raised a few good points, one of them obviously being that he has begun a petition for the game, the power of which I don't know how much it actually holds, but I do commend that and I wish it the best. Legend of Total War has been talking a bit about the Oblivion Remastered and how well a remastered that's originally from all the way back in 2006 can do on the modern Steam market. Medieval 2 is also from 2006 and of course Medieval 2 is actually doing pretty well. The scale of, these two series is quite different, as Legend has also pointed out. Medieval 2, or the Total War series I should say, is a lot smaller than the Elder Scrolls. That's no secret. But in terms of power within its series, few games in the Total War franchise is as powerful, as long-lasting and much wanted, I should say, as a new title in the Medieval series. Now, Medieval 2 actually has, at time of recording, over 4,000 concurrent players. In the Total War space, that's actually quite a lot, especially for a game that's soon to be 20 years old. The case for a remastered, perhaps coming out before or not I think instead of, but at least, getting a remaster out there in the near future would be something a lot of people would be happy about. Now, the reason why I wanted to make this video as an addition to Legend's Medieval 2 Remastered video is to say that I believe Medieval 2 Remastered is coming. I do not think that Creative Assembly would give up the, in my opinion, incredibly easy money bag it would be to make a Medieval 2 Remastered. Now, I do like Legend's example of Oblivion Remastered, but I think we have an even more relevant, genre or franchise to the Total War series than the Elder Scrolls, and that would be the Age of Empires series, the latest of which is Age of Mythology Retold. What Xbox, World's Edge, Forgotten Empires has done with the Age series, this is an old series. It's one of the famous ones in the strategy genre. This is an RTS, of course, and quite heavily multiplayer focused, but still, these games originally did come out in the early 2000s. That's when they were at their height. And now they're being remade, and despite perhaps not being like the most popular they've ever been, I don't know if we have the numbers on these games way back in the day, but at least now the Age of series has made a big comeback with about 4 or 5 new titles. The majority of which are just remasters or remakes in a way. This franchise has gone all in and it's really revitalized this genre and also gotten a lot of new people coming back, truly kind of discovering this series for the first time. I'm kind of left thinking like, why wouldn't CA do the same for Medieval 2, their arguably most beloved title ever, perhaps with the exception, kind of ironically, of Warhammer 3 perhaps. Now, CA obviously did remake Rome Remastered, right? Or I should say Feral Interactive remastered Rome Remastered. And in my opinion, it is a very good remaster. It is a very good remaster now that it has been patched, and obviously that's a long time ago now. But it always had good foundations, and what they did with modding, etc. is amazing. Now, in terms of Medieval 2, and we have talked about this a lot, Medieval 2 on its own, honestly, still looks really good. It still looks so charming. Obviously, what we want from a remastered is a remaster of the visuals, we want it to look good, and because Medieval 2 already looks a lot better than kind of Rome ever did, again, accounting for or not accounting for taste, I think a remaster of Medieval 2's visuals would be absolute fire. I think it would actually look amazing. I think it honestly could look better than Rome 2. Obviously, that's an old game, but Rome 2 still looks amazing. And I think, you know, if you put on some of those like realistic type visuals, if you make it stylized, or if you make it look gritty or medievally, this could look even better than Warhammer 3, honestly. Like, I'm willing to bet that. But what's most important, because like Rome Remastered looks amazing, honestly. In my opinion, the main difference between Rome and Medieval 2 are those battle animations. Because Medieval 2, in terms of visuals, in terms of those animations, they look so much more organic. They look so much more fluid, and as if the models are actually clashing. People have varied and quite advanced animations. Archers fire, you know, like after each other. It's not like all at once. Arrows, missiles, everything. They just look so much more organic in Medieval 2. I mean, like, look at how these units actually move. And if you look at, you know, you're about to see the combat itself, which arguably is the most important thing. You know, every model feels like it is their own model. It feels like this is a battle with collision. People are actually sort of doing stuff. It just looks like a battlefield. Whereas Rome is obviously quite stiff. In terms of the 3D games, it's by far the stiffest game. And you can sort of make the most advanced models you want to, but if they move, you know, like stick figures, it's just not gonna feel that good. Now, these are obviously just like reasons why Medieval 2 should be remastered, because we could have an amazing game here. More reasons is because of the modding capabilities. Medieval 2 still has dedicated modders. It always had dedicated modders. It has some amazing mods, and having the modding restrictions lifted would be a godsend. Medieval 2 would probably be the new Total War Forever game. I'm quite certain of this. It has arrows, trebuchets, catapults, crossbows, guns, horses, melee fights. It has basically everything you need except for naval battles. But in, you know, like in the grand scheme of things, that's okay. That's okay. Those are the reasons why a Medieval 2 Remastered should be made. Now, the reason why I think it will be made is because it probably, number one, would be a cash cow for CA. This game would revitalize the Total War community. And remind you, this is just a remaster we're talking about. But I think because it is a remaster, it's also got that, you know, Age of Empires, Oblivion Remastered nostalgia factor to it. People who remember Medieval 2 will flock back to Medieval 2. People who never played Medieval 2 will flock back to the Remastered. Modders will flock back. The opportunity of Medieval 2 will present itself, right? There is a lot there. However, the more succinct details or reasons why I think it will be remastered is because I believe Feral want to remaster it. I believe CA they're probably busy. They've never remastered a game exactly or all on its own. That's been Feral's domain. But Feral, even quite recently, has worked on Medieval 2. In a way, they kind of already remastered Medieval 2. Enemy General Fallen, nice, and I didn't even do a thing. With the iOS ports, right? Medieval 2 has already become a modern game on mobile phones or iPads, and they even added some extra features there, like choosing your own factionaire or even watching those cities on the battle map. You know, it is quite amazing what they did with Medieval 2, and that was only on the small screen. Now, Feral Interactive has worked on more games than Medieval 2. They worked on Rome, and more recently, they worked on Empire, right? Essentially doing some of those things they did with Medieval 2 as well, making a port that's halfway to a remaster in a way, fixing a few bugs here and there, adding a few features here and there, just like all of that good stuff, you know? Feral has shown that they want to remake these older titles, but perhaps more importantly, they have shown that they, number one, can make a remastered title in terms of Rome, but they also want more out of these older games. They wanted more out of Medieval 2, and they made a new Medieval 2. They wanted more out of Empire, and they made an improved Empire. Why? When Medieval 2 is kind of by far the most popular and beloved of the game, would we not see a Medieval 2 Remastered? The issue of the Medieval 2 Remastered is not the want for it. It's more a question of, I believe, resources or time and complexity. The reason why we haven't seen a Medieval 2 remastered yet, I think, is because Medieval 2 is a much more complex game than Rome ever was. Empire is obviously even more complex, but that's not a game they have remastered yet. They just, like ported it and improved it a bit. But remastering Medieval 2 would include remastering a few mechanics, perhaps even animations. But in terms of, like the change of the game, the pace of the game, Medieval 2 mechanics wise, you're taking prisoners, you're having pope elections, you're having crusades, jihads, a lot of varying cultures with their own, events or different types of gameplay. Medieval 2's basic systems, castles and forts and, all of that stuff, cities, I mean, there is a lot more there. And I'm not saying Medieval 2 is in development right now. I almost think it might be. I almost think it might be at some sort of early development stage because, come on, we this much hype, this much love, this much want for a Medieval 2 remastered. I can't really imagine that unless a Medieval 3 is coming out in the next year, which it's not. I think Medieval 3 might be 3 years away, maybe. A Medieval 2 remastered should be in the making. And if my thoughts are correct, if my predictions are correct, I think we might see a Medieval 2 remastered in a year or two tops. I don't think much more time than that will pass. I don't think Medieval 2 remastered is like imminent, and Feral has shown that they've been quite good actually at announcing a title and then releasing it not long after, perhaps like a 2-month span or something. But yeah, I do think Medieval 2 Remastered is in development. I might be wrong, might be very wrong, but I think it is. But it probably will be some time before we hear anything. And the question is, what will we hear first? Because Feral, it's not a massive studio. They have managed to do a lot, I think, with what they got. But in terms of what they just released, and I do believe, by the way, that Feral, if anyone will be in charge of a Medieval 2 Remastered, I think it will be Feral. Feral just released Empire, half a year ago. Wow, time goes by fast. They might... I don't know if they're done with patching of Empire or, how long they want to do that. We might see Napoleon come to mobile/iPad before a Medieval 2 Remastered just because it's kind of the same, architecture. And Feral also did release Kingdoms for iOS about a year, I think, 6 months, a year after the Medieval 2 for iOS release. So that might be something that we see first. Napoleon. If we see Napoleon might be a November 2025 release. We might see it later, like this year, if not early next year. But it's tough, man. It's tough. I do think we'll see a Medieval 2 Remastered, and I do think it's gonna come mid to late 2026. Because why not? Why not? I'm pretty sure Feral wants to do it, despite it being complicated. I'm pretty sure, I'm darn sure CA knows that the historical fans want it, that they want a Medieval 2 or 3, but that the remastered game would be the easier way to get there by far. And I do believe that Feral has the competency to do it well. And they have learned a lot, by the way, since Rome Remastered, as evident, if not only by their patching, but also by the re-releases of Medieval 2 afterwards and of Empire. If you do want a Medieval 2 Remastered though, I do recommend that you sign that petition for Medieval 2 Remastered. It's always good to, gauge that interest and to show that you actually want it, rather than us just talking about it. But I think it would be amazing. I personally think that a Medieval 2 Remastered, because the base game is so amazing, I do think it might end up being better than a Medieval 3. Of course, unless Medieval 3 goes above and beyond and actually implements some new stuff and, you know, cater to the people that actually want it. I think that's important. But as of now, Medieval 2 Remastered is probably not close, but it's probably in development as well. That's my guess. Not in some beta alpha stage, but probably in early concept development. Probably at some, like, you know, artboard stage, or, you know, the somewhere where they lay out the roadmap and the plans and stuff. I do think so. But what do you think? Do you think Medieval 2 Remastered is in development? Is it coming? Is it ever coming? Is Medieval 3 coming? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, if you want Medieval 2 Remastered, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comment. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.